Konnichiwa minasan. Today I want to talk about something very, very interesting. Because right now on the internet, everywhere you look, it's like Japan is this magical, amazing place. I'm going to live in Japan. I'm going to go buy an abandoned house in Akira, and it's going to be perfect and amazing and not a scam. I'm going to live the rest of my life in Japan, and it's going to be perfect and amazing. I live here. It's amazing. I do really enjoy it. But what is the number one thing that is the worst thing about living in Japan? It's definitely not what you expect. It's not like everything's tiny and small here and you're gonna bash your head on everything every day just trying to, take the subway or walk through a doorway. No, it's not going to be that paperwork sucks here. You still have to fax things just to place an order for anything. It's not about natural disasters or seismic activity, earthquakes and things like that. That is, hell, we just kind of get used to it over time.
Oh my god, guys, this is the craziest thing.
Probably the number one thing that I think is the worst thing about living in Japan is, 日本に住んでて一番多分最悪のポイントは花粉症です。It's hay fever. It's hay fever. And before you're like, oh, what are you talking about? I don't get hay fever. This is the worst thing about it. You could be living here for 3 years and not have a single thing. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you think you are dying. Every orifice on your face is leaking and you don't even know what's going on. And you go see the doctor and the doctor laughs at you after taking a few tests and goes, welcome to Japan. You're now Japanese. Because you are finally experiencing what everyone else in Japan experiences, which is called kahunsho. So imagine waking up, feeling normal, but then the moment you step outside for 30 seconds, suddenly your eyes start leaking and your nose is blocked and you're sneezing like your body is rejecting the entire country. これは花粉症です。We need to dive into why this is even a problem and why scientists are still trying to fix a mistake from the 1950s to solve this issue. マジで花粉症最悪です。To further validate my point here, I figured we'd go and ask a real Japanese person. Daiki, do you suffer from kahunsho every year?
Yes, I.
Do you have to buy drugs from the drugstore every year and alternate between different brands so they actually start working?
Mm-hmm.
This whole video idea came because I was having a conversation with a friend. He was visiting Japan, doing a bunch of touristy stuff, and we were talking about how I live here, and he was like, I thought maybe I'd like to move out here, but he was like, no, I can't do it because of how hot it gets here in summer. みんな日本の夏はめっちゃ蒸し暑いでしょ? I'm thinking, man, that's really not that different from living in Queensland. The only thing is that you're dealing with a lot more humidity. If you don't know, Japan summers are kind of like 42 degrees Celsius. It's like 100 Fahrenheit with 100% humidity. It feels like you're hitting a wet, hot wall when you walk outside in summers here. It's pretty brutal. Japanese summers are definitely not for the weak. It kind of made me laugh because I was thinking to myself, what is the worst thing about Japan? And it's not like it's something that you know about when you come here because you feel like you've gotten the ultimate catfished, right? Japan is this amazing place. It's full of culture. There's so much heritage here. As an Australian, and probably even an American, to be honest, we're quite early settlements. We don't really have any rich, crazy ancestral culture, right? Let's be honest. All Australia really has is Captain Cook, and we don't talk about that. But where was my thought process going on this? Hang on. I just thought about how I wanted a can of Dr. Pepper. So what I was saying was I thought it was funny because you don't get kahunsho the moment you come here. In very, very, very rare cases, maybe. But for me, it took 6 years before it appeared. And my God, is it the worst experience in the world. And other friends and people, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it varies. But usually it's around the 3 to 6 year period where all of a sudden you will start getting it. And it is not easy. You'll go to the drugstore. Initially, the first medicine that you take will work. But then you got to keep changing brands. Otherwise, it doesn't work anymore. And then eventually you have to go get the prescribed stuff. And it's just never ending cycle, and it really, really sucks. I figured it'd be appropriate that we went outside, so I'm here on the roof. Pretty much every year, Japan basically turns into a pollen smoke machine because of trees called Sugi and Hinoki that I wish we could literally just burn every single one of them. Sugi is a Japanese cedar tree, and Hinoki is a cypress tree. Pretty much after World War II, they planted millions and millions of them because Japan needed wood, and it needed wood very fast. So they picked the 2 trees that produced and grew the fastest for them, and never even thought about the side effects or what those trees even produce. This is all information, you can look it up, but pretty much that's what they did. to rebuild, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? It was a cool idea at the time, of course, but a terrible idea for anyone with functioning sinuses. I'm not even joking, guys. I'm pretty sure that not even humans are the only ones that suffer from this. I'm pretty certain that even the animals do. And you know the worst thing is, everyone just puts up with it.
Here.
But not one YouTuber. And that YouTuber's name is Sushi Ramen. He decided enough was enough, and he got one sugi tree on his own property, and he made sure it was full of all that pollen, and he blew that thing up spectacularly. Drugstores in Japan have entire sections dedicated to multiple different brands that you are supposed to alternate every single springtime, every single season change. Because, by the way, Sugi is at like kind of the earlier part of the year, and then towards the end of like start of summer, maybe end of spring is then when Hinoki comes. So you end up getting like kind of double whammied, and then, well, then there's the yellow cloud that comes over from China as well later on in the year, and that'll do the same thing to you. And the news and weather apps here will actually actively report on the level of pollen. And today's actually extremely high, which is kind of also what probed me to make this video, because great, I guess I'm just gonna die again today because none of the medication is working anymore. And you just have to accept it. I didn't even have hay fever when I first moved here. It was something so foreign to me. Everyone was like affected by the sickness, and I had this superpower and it felt incredible. But then at year 6, everything changed, and I realized just how much of an asshole I was being, because I never understood what it was like to deal with this. And no, you cannot run away from this. It doesn't matter if you're in Tokyo, if you're in the countryside, if you're in Nagano, if you're in Osaka, it affects you everywhere. I don't think you understand just how many of these trees they put across the country. So there is no running away from it. I mean, you could, I guess, just go back home or leave the country for sure. But if you want a life here, there is no running away from it. And you will definitely deal with it. It's not a matter of if, but when. Everyone online romanticizes a life or living here in Japan like crazy. And don't get me wrong, living in Japan is incredible, but no one ever talks about this main topic. It is probably the number one most disappointing thing about living in Japan, and the worst thing, to be completely honest. Imagine having to vacuum and clean this yellow sand dust off everything in your home or on your clothes. Like literally, if you put them outside to dry, they will get covered, and then you'll put them on and it'll start all of the hay fever all over again, even in your own house. That's why you see so many people wearing masks here, why you see so many, appliances for filtering out the air and stuff in our own like homes and things like that. It's to get rid of this yellow pollen from the Sugi and Hinoki trees. But ultimately, I love my life living here in Japan. There is so many pros compared to the cons, but I just thought this would relate with a lot of you, and it's also something to give you a bit of a heads up if you've lived here. It is kind of like the ultimate catfish. You come here, you might find and meet a beautiful lady, get married, start a family, and then on year 6 or year 5 or whenever, it's gonna hit you like a freight train, and it's gonna suck. But just remember, there's a lot more other pros in Japan, like the car scene here. It's incredible. If you like cars, definitely go check out the main channel, hit subscribe. But if you related to this video, or if you didn't know about this, and I taught you something, let me know in the comment section. I'm curious to know your experiences and your thoughts when you experienced Kahunsho for the first time. じゃあ、皆さん、ありがとうございます。よろしくお願いします。登録して、と、like とコメントお願いします。あとね、じゃあまた。バイバイ。This is me saying goodbye. See you next time. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Welcome to SAMMIT Raw. I'm doing more of these videos now. Bye. これは花粉症です。